Pie in the Sky Media. This series contains adult language and descriptions of graphic violence throughout. Listener discretion is advised.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Hello, Criminal Mischief Nation. Welcome back to another bonus episode of Criminal Mischief with Carolyn and Branden. I'm Branden, along with the great Carolyn Osorio. Happy winter to you, Carolyn. How are you doing? Is it cold up there? It's cold here in LA.
You know what? It is freezing. Freezing.
Yes.
Yes.
Snowing in New Jersey as well, which is exciting for me.
That's very exciting.
Very exciting. So it's cold. Is it raining also, as always?
No, thank goodness, because if it was raining, we would be having snow, which you know what? I'm so ready for spring. You know, I'm like very, very excited for it.
I'm not. I love the winter.
Really?
Yeah, I love the winter.
Well, you're in LA. It's not really the same.
But listen, cold weather's cold weather. People can break your balls about you live in LA, but whatever. But when it's cold, it's cold. It doesn't matter where you are, right? And it's cold outside, and there are two neighborhood cats that have realized that I'll feed any animal that comes into my yard, and so now there are these two gray cats that kind of hang out by my back door, and I'm a sucker for it. And then I feel bad for them because it's cold out, so I make little tents for them and little warm beds and stuff for them that they don't use. Whatever.
You know what's funny? Have you ever seen, I think it was on The Daily Show, like probably 10 years ago, but it just has stuck with me. It was so good. But there was a woman who was feeding eagles. And it was just insane. She had because they're supposed to be these rare, majestic creatures, right? And they were like, she had
these bald eagles. She had 50 of them perched around her barn or something, right?
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was super funny. I can't remember what spoof they did off of it, but it was just, it was
there's
the funniest
there's
thing.
this wonderful public figure who's the head of the Zoo Miami, okay? Who does not hold back his thoughts and feelings about the bald eagle. He said the bald eagle is just, what does he say? Oh man. He said the bald eagle is a vulture with a good PR agent.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah,
because
right.
they're scavengers.
I know.
Said,
Benjamin Franklin said that the real bird that should have been our bird was the turkey, because the turkey has it will defend its family. Anyways, this whole thing, and it's but it's not. But it looks like a turkey.
Well,
a turkey doesn't
also
look like a bald eagle.
The king of the the apex predator of the birds is the harpy eagle. The birds of prey, the top of the bird is the harpy eagle, which is an insane bird. Just look it up. Do you know why the turkey is called the turkey?
I have a feeling you're going to tell me.
If you had to guess, what would you say?
Turkey. I can't. Just tell me.
Because of the country, Turkey.
Okay, got me. All right.
I didn't know that either. I was so amazed. It's something, I think it's actually, I'll look it up again, but I think it's either Marco Polo or a similar type of European kind of adventurer, okay, who went across the continent and into, the subcontinent and then all the way over to Asia and then came back. And while he was in Turkey, which was called Turkey at the time, that's where the birds are native to. And he brought some back, and they just
Wow.
a complete lack of imagination said, we'll call it the turkey, I guess.
Wow.
That's where it's from. Now, there's a chance I've been fooled by the internet and none of that's true, but I'm pretty sure that that's true. So I'm going to look it up afterwards, and if I'm wrong, I'll apologize. But
So how are the fires? Give us an update. How are you all doing?
basically out, but there was a little PTSD today in the city because it got very windy again. Similar winds to 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago tomorrow when the fire started. But that great app that, just skyrocketed to fame during the fires called Watch Duty, that everybody would download it on their phones. That all of the updates that we're getting now are like repopulation orders. Like it's okay to go back to these areas. downgraded from this, alert to this now and all that. So according to the app, things are retreating to somewhat kind of normal levels. But now it's just recovery
Rebuilding.
and rebuild and grieving and yeah, that now we figure out who we are as a city, which we've proved over and over again after earthquakes with, unfortunately these areas, not the Palisades, but Malibu's burned. This is like the third time since I've lived here that Malibu has burned horribly. Um, and the 94 earthquake was bad. I was here for that. And you know, we'll eventually we'll be okay. It's just there's a lot of pain and a lot of destruction, and we need to move forward with with rebuilding. So
Hmm.
no, and there are all these conspiracy theories that just really pissed me off that people are floating. That is just a bunch of bullshit. So it's just about sticking to the facts and what's true, and making sure that the people affected get as much and get everything that they deserve and more. That's all. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
Anyway,
let's get into this case. Let's get into it.
Matt Murphy is my new hero. The line, "Some people deserve to be murdered." I'm paraphrasing, but that was basically his sentiment. Okay. And that the world instantly became a better place as soon as this friggin' guy was dead. Wow. I love
Yeah.
this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, his book, which I read cover to cover, he had some really great humor in it and was really fun to read. And I'm not just saying that because I'm like, as you would say, a shill for whatever, but like it was just really well done. And he's like a really smart guy. And I appreciated his kind of like honesty where he was coming from, which is refreshing.
Yeah, and apparently, ladies, he's on the market. He mentioned that he's done some internet dating. So, hey, I'm just saying.
Well, in his book, he really goes into making the choice to not have a family, to not get married, so he could literally devote himself to these cases, which is like,
Well, you know what you hear?
wow,
The numbers, gosh, where did I read it? That one out of every four people will be single for their whole lives.
really?
Hmm. Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Their entire lives.
Yep. They'll date here and there, but they'll never have they'll never be married. They won't have like a life part, like in a long-term relationship, like we enjoy.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Were you surprised by that number? That surprises me. One
At
out of
first I
four.
was surprised by it, but then I thought I could list probably six of my friends who are in their 50s who are single.
Is the ratio male to female about the same, or is it
Yeah.
mostly
Yeah.
male or
Actually it is.
wow. That's
Yeah.
25%.
I know. I know.
Obviously, that's not us.
I also know. Yes,
Mm,
Captain
mm,
Obvious has
mm.
shown up. Okay.
Okay, first you diss my dancing.
Well
Now,
deserved. Well deserved.
no, I don't think so. I really don't think so.
So, but for him to be, I want to read his book, is for him to say, excuse me, that the reason he stayed single was
Mhm.
to dedicate himself to his job. Um, every now and then, a few times since we've been doing the show, I make sure to point out this is the type of cop, or this is the type of prosecutor, or this is the type of judge that you want like working, right?
Absolutely.
Like a guy
Yeah.
who gets it. Someone breaks in your house in the middle of the night, that's a good shoot. That's what he said. I'm like, shit. Yeah, dude. Fucking A right it is.
But what he said about not just getting tunnel vision and you have to, that's what makes me really was really into what he was saying was that, he wants to get guilty people. He doesn't want to just get tunnel vision on somebody and be like, let's make it fit. And I really appreciated that, because those are the type of people that you want, prosecuting cases. And he's literally dedicated his life, to do that.
Yeah, early on he mentioned kind of like the burden of proof that they're under to bring a case to trial. Like is there enough to arrest? Is there enough to indict? And you have to have a really positive opinion that you could get a jury to agree with you, right? You have like, and if you don't have all of them, then you don't do it.
Yeah.
And his work ethic, his ethical approach to, you know, his application of the law, it was all just really um, admirable, to be honest.
Yeah. But like if you were a defendant and you found out that he was going to try the case, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He did not lose. I don't know if I put this in there, but he did not lose one of his homicide trials.
And because he was very, very picky.
Right?
I bet his prosecution rate was lower than other people, though, right? Probably didn't
I
bring
don't
as
think
many.
so. I just think that he like honed the craft and just,
Yeah.
like he said, he was very open about the addiction piece of it, which I thought was really
Mhm.
interesting because that can happen with anything where it's like you get addicted to something and I think that's, he kind of alluded to going to cold cases so he can continue to get that high because they're so hard to solve.
Yeah.
And, and then of course he got better and better. And so yeah, I mean, when the case, I'm glad that you appreciated hearing all these details because I was kind of like, I want to set up kind of how a case like this lands on somebody's desk. And you kind of have to know his backstory to know because Tara, I mean, that was a justifiable homicide, but what if you got someone who just for whatever, like he said, some young upstart prosecutor who decided he wanted to go back or she wanted to go back to take a second look at this, and it's like, wait a second, she was basically this guy was going to kill her, but in some weird world, that could have been turned on her somehow. I mean, I have no doubt about that,
Right. If you have some young horny prosecutor who sees it as a line on a resume and would just charge forward and ruin someone's life. Yeah. Yeah, but no, but he spoke anecdotally, and always from experience,
Hmm.
especially when he was saying that he likes to go, he made sure he had to go to every crime scene.
Yeah.
And he spoke in very definitive kind of ways. Like every crime scene you'll go to, you will see something that you will bring up in your closing. You will.
Yeah.
He didn't say there's a good chance. He goes, no, you will. 100% you will. And he
Mhm.
brought up that one, those Nazi dipshits that robbed that 7-Eleven and then hid in the bushes on a cold winter night in Los Angeles, right? Circling back to what I was saying before, cold is cold, no matter where you are
Mhm.
geographically, to
Mhm.
the point where it was important enough that he mentioned it. Here's a guy in shorts and a t-shirt on a night where people are wearing jackets and sweaters and scarves, you know? So, and he wouldn't have really thought to bring that up unless he went to the crime scene right after it happened and felt the atmosphere and saw how cold it was and all that. So, um, yeah, but my favorite part of the episode though was hearing you approach the landmine, or I should say the speed bump, I guess, of the word anesthetized several times. Right? You saw it coming, right? You slowed down. You made sure, but then you started leaking a little bit of confidence, and by like the third time, you sped right through it, right? Because you didn't want to fuck up. So that I thought that was great.
You
It was
know
great.
what? It needed to be handled deftly and with care, but yeah, I mean, by the end of it, it was like 1:30 last night, and I was like, okay, I'm losing it. I'm losing it.
That was great.
The
That was great.
dismount on the last one was a little bit less
It was
confident.
a little bit. It was a little bit, but fuck it, right? You
Yeah.
got it. You got it. But at first, like you just started pumping the brakes and like slowing down. You took a breath. Anesthetized.
No,
Anesthetician.
that's you say it. You say it.
I
Say
won't.
it. Say
I
it.
wouldn't write the word. I
Say
would
it.
say a doctor who puts people to sleep for surgery. That's what I would say. I wouldn't say anesthesiologist. I might. I don't know.
Say
But no.
anest say anesthetist. Anesthetist. See?
Anesthetist.
Anesthetist.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
I'm
it's great.
glad that
Listen, you got to know.
yeah,
You got to know your
yeah.
boundaries, right?
I
And it's like, okay, I
I
see
know.
the word coming
But see,
three lines
that's
away.
where I've shown you that I'm brave and I
Yeah,
can do it.
yeah.
I can do it, Brandon.
But
Anesthetist.
if
Anesthetist.
you listen back to the episode, you're like 3 or 4 lines away. You see the word
Okay,
coming up.
I got it. All right.
And it was very
I got it.
professional. It was very professional.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
The
well,
person who puts people to sleep. All right. Is that better?
Yes, and it's one of those mystery procedures. Like no one really knows why it works. Talk to an anesthesiologist, like of like anesthetical kind of theory. They'll be like,
Hmm.
we're not really sure why your body responds to it that way. We just kind of know how to make it happen, how to put you under and how to take you out. But it's really, really a gray area, medically speaking.
Yeah, no, we had a really good friend who was who was an anesthesiologist.
Hmm.
And it's funny because we found out like according to him, they don't get as much respect as like, surgeons. But
Hmm.
it's like that's a huge, putting people to sleep and making sure that they wake up, is a pretty big deal. And I what?
There's another element to this.
What?
It's putting people to sleep and constant monitoring to keep them asleep
Hmm.
so you don't fucking wake up during surgery,
I know.
right?
I know. I know.
That's crazy.
Believe me.
My stepdad over like a 10-year period had both knees and both hips replaced. He was an
Oh my
athlete when he was
gosh.
younger, right? And he's one of the only guys you'll ever meet who is quicker and more nimble at 80 than he was at 50.
This is
Okay.
your stepdad?
Yeah, yeah. And he was, I mean, he couldn't walk downstairs by the time he was 55 or 60 years old. Okay.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
and now I mean, I spent a weekend with him in Vegas last year and we walked like 12 miles in a day and he was fine. So the medical
Wow. And he's
advancements
80?
are, yeah, the medical advancements orthopedically have been profound in this last generation. But he woke up during one of the surgeries and the anesthesiologist is like, oh, my bad. Close your eyes, count backwards from 10. He's like, okay.
And he remembered that?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Hey, Criminal Mischief Nation. If you have kids like me, a new year isn't just another opportunity to plan an epic family vacation or another round of creating birthday memories with their favorite themes, but it's also another year closer to that dreaded conversation about when they'll get their little hands on a cell phone. Even though I have 5 kids, it has never gotten any easier to have that conversation. But with my youngest kid, I've discovered that there's a less nerve wracking way to introduce him to a phone with Gab. Gab is the leader in safe phones and watches for kids, teens, and tweens. With no social media apps or internet browser, Gab devices were built to specifically keep kids, teens, and tweens safe, especially with their GPS tracking. And Gab phones still have all the tech features kids want. Unlimited talk and text with Gab Messenger, which is the first messaging and video calling app designed with kids' safety as the top priority. And Gab Messenger blocks high-risk messages and content with nudity from ever reaching your child's phone in the first place. And they have an exclusive app for easy parent controls. My son was ready for the latest Gab Phone 4, which has hundreds of vetted third-party apps that can only be installed at parents' discretion. And right now, Gab is offering $25 off any device with no contract required. Just go to gab.com/mischief to get started. That's Gab, GABB.com/mischief. Gab.com/mischief. MISCHIEF. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So it's not just put you to sleep and wake you back up. It's a constant kind of flow of the medicine that does its magic and watching your heart rate and your breathing rate and your blood pressure, like all that stuff.
So now, had you ever heard of the Dirty John case?
Yeah, it's what launched Wondery.
Okay, well, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't sure if you'd heard of it before.
Oh
So
yeah, absolutely.
okay.
I didn't listen to the podcast though, but Dirty John was one of the early, really popular podcasts on a network called Wondery, and it got made into a television show. It was Dirty John, it was Dr. Death, and I forget the third one, but those were the really big early true crime limited series that were, super popular. Um,
Yeah, no, I listened to Dirty John, and I decided to do that when I got his book, and I decided to do that case. I liked the backstory of how he um basically referred it to this, Los Angeles Times reporter
Yeah.
And it launched from there, and the backstory as to like why he did it. Like this is a great cautionary tale. These kinds of cases are always so terrifying when you get somebody who just becomes obsessed, becomes jealous, all of these things. I mean, this guy was so freaking scary.
Yeah. And was for a long time. But this like kind of philocide or whatever he called it,
Filicide.
filicide, uh, that was a step up for him as far as anyone in law enforcement knows. Like they didn't investigate and he had other bodies in his past, right? I mean, this was the first time where it escalated to I'm going to murder someone to get back at their mother. I mean, that's
Yeah,
fucking dark, first of all.
that is
Yeah.
really dark.
But it also
Really
marked,
dark.
as far as I know, a big escalation in his criminal kind of enterprises, right? He was just scamming women on Tinder or whatever, right? And
Mhm.
taking their money
Well,
and
taking their money, but then stalking and terrifying them and the power, and then all his kits with the cyanide capsules and I feel like he was ramping up, and who knows, he could have done something, and we just don't know. But it definitely feels like he was ramping up, and with Deborah losing, maybe she was the massive golden goose because she was had an extremely successful business.
Mhm.
She was making a lot of money, and because I did listen to the podcast, I just remember being like, wow, she's done really well, and it's unfortunate that she gets to this place and he knows exactly what these women are looking for, which is just so revolting. He knows, hey, they want me to listen to them. They want me to be considerate, and like, it's just it
Gosh,
sucks.
how dare they want that?
I know. I know.
You
Like,
people with your be considerate and listen to me. No, but I mean, and that's a specific, not unique, but it's a genre, I guess, or a group or a class of women who are set financially, right? They're very, very
yeah.
successful in business wise and just didn't have
Mhm.
haven't had a lot of luck relationship wise, right? And that's a big box to check in someone's life is companionship. So like I've got everything else. So here comes this guy on a white horse, like I will listen to you, I will go run your errands, I will treat you really, really well and make you feel appreciated.
Mhm.
Yeah, shit, sign me
Well, I
up.
mean, it's kind of like the guy when you're a very successful woman, to have a man who can be the type of person who can hold your coat
Mm,
while you're on at the podium making a speech and cheer for you.
mhm.
Who can't like is so jealous or so like feels emasculated for no reason. And
Or
it's like
ego or
ego.
subscribes
Yeah.
to some kind of like old school societal thing where like the man is all that bullshit, right? Uh, yeah, that's look, men like that aren't rare, believe me, okay? But it's for a woman who hadn't ever been with a man like that, I can see how it would be easy to get kind of sucked into that and to maybe miss some signs, you know?
Absolutely. And he had been in that world, so he knew how to act. You know what I mean? He had been in the operating room. He saw how, doctors act, and had gone to law school for a couple of years and knew how the legal system worked. He was an educated person. He knew what to say.
Yeah,
And
but he
so
also had a lot of real world experience because he did this to over 50 women.
I
So
know.
he was able to hone his grift. What works, what
Exactly.
doesn't. Yeah, yeah, of course. A lot of trial and error, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
So
it's just totally understandable. And I think that, I believe that she probably got a lot of criticism when this came out. Like, how could you have and it's like it's really easy, to get you want to believe in this fantasy because it feels so good. And yet it's like, in his coercive control, it starts out where it's all so great, and then you just keep making excuses and allowances for things. And like what the guy said, the world was definitely a better place
yeah,
once. Because just imagine how she would have felt if he would have done what he was planning on doing to her daughter,
yeah. So
you
here's my
know?
question for you.
Yeah.
Could you stab a motherfucker in the eye with the intent of like killing his brain? Like, because she knew what she was doing. She's like, I'm treating this like a zombie. The soft spot on the head is the eyeball, and that's what I'm doing.
I mean, what I can say is this: if a family member of mine was in danger,
Mhm.
and I would totally be able
No,
to, I think I
you.
would be capable.
If
I
you
know
were attacked,
with me, I mean, I would hope that I could protect myself, and
mm,
I mean, I would do, you hope that you will do what you need to do to survive an attack like that, you know?
yeah,
But I think that that's what was so impressive about her
yeah,
was that she was, small in stature. She had her frickin' dog cash. She had her boots on. She knew, it's just incredible. Like what Matt Murphy was saying. Like, usually the story doesn't end this way. And it's so great that
yeah,
she's
yeah.
so
And that's
I
why I
would
need you
hope
to.
so.
That's why I need you to change your answer. Okay, I need
What?
you to say you're goddamn right. If it's him or me, it's going to be him. That
Oh,
that's
well, I mean, I'm saying if it were him or me, I thought you were talking specifically. I mean, she got him 13 times. The
yeah,
two.
because she knew. She's like, it's going to be him because it sure as hell isn't going to be fucking me.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, if it were him, yes, to answer your
Yes.
question, but like, would I be able to? Am I thinking about The Walking Dead and like doing exactly what
That's
he
where,
did?
see, that's where I want to get my mentality to. All right.
Mhm,
Now this is what I'm learning from this episode. Okay. Don't
mhm,
just be like, yeah, I can defend myself. No, get specific.
mhm,
If he has a
mhm.
knife, I'm going to find a way to get the knife and stab him in the eye,
Yeah, the
back through
soft
to his
part,
brain.
absolutely.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you know what? I mean, if you've ever seen a fight,
Oh yeah.
they don't, it's
It's
not like in
ugly.
the movies. So
No, it's messy.
my ego is not so big that I think, oh yeah, I would be, because I've actually seen a few fights happen and they're between guys and it's not anything like what's on TV. It's like, missed punches,
Yeah, it's
scratch,
messy. It's messy.
it's
It's messy.
messy.
And so many things had to go right. The dog biting the guy in the ankle, her being able to kick the knife out of the hand and not going far enough away where she couldn't grab it and then, having the opportunity to get clean stab wounds on the 13 stabs
I mean,
on
yes.
a big, strong, athletic dude. I mean, that's
Yeah, no, I
whew.
know. That's why I don't want to take anything away from minimize what she did by acting like, oh yeah, for sure, I could totally do it. Because it's like, you never know what's going to happen in a situation like that. And I'm
Right.
just so glad that she was able to pull that out of, to be able to do that,
Yeah.
you know?
Really, really impressive. And almost as impressive were his actions afterward to make sure that she didn't get railroaded by some young punk prosecutor who wanted to do it right. He's like, no, she was never, ever, ever in any danger of prosecution at all. I'm making sure we do this right. This was a righteous kill. It was him or her, right? He was the bad guy in this. He attacked her, all that. Hero dog, like all that. Really, really wonderful, happy ending to this.
It was, absolutely.
Yes, and got this scumbag off the street forever. And I
Mhm.
wonder if, I would want to ask her because there's, I like to think if I were in that situation that I wouldn't have any emotional baggage from it. That I'd be like, fuck yeah, I killed that motherfucker because I had to. But I'm sure there, like I would want to know, like, how does she feel years later? Is she in therapy because of it? Does she have any like PTSD over having to take a life to save your own? I mean, it's I'm sure it's more serious than we're leading than we're giving it,
I mean, I think that, I mean, speaking for myself, I think it's very serious. That's why I pause to say what I would do because it's like we really don't know what we will do in that situation, and we hope that we rise to the occasion. I believe that, and this is the great part of the story is that she's putting that towards helping other women and other people. I know that she, went does talks and is in self-defense. She does classes, I believe, when I was looking her up. And so I think that it's, she's turned this into a positive and it has been an inspiration for women and people, which I think is amazing. So I feel like, yeah, there's always going to be that feeling of like, yeah, I took a life and That's terrible, but she had to. She had no choice.
Do you think she still watches The Walking Dead?
Hell yes. It saved her life.
Incredible.
You know,
Wow.
I mean, she saved her life, but knowing what to do and knowing to, because with this guy, I mean, you probably needed to get him in the eye like that to get him to stop,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Or like go for the carotid or something like that. So he, bleeds out and some blood
I mean,
spray.
have you watched The Walking Dead? I mean, that's what they that's what they do, you know?
I thought they shot him in the head for no, I haven't watched the show. I thought they was just like shoot him
You've
in the head.
never watched the show?
No.
Well,
Nope.
you got to kill the brain. That's the whole thing.
The zombie brain, that's what you have to kill?
Yeah, you have to kill the brain.
I'm not a
So,
big TV guy.
okay, well,
Yeah.
Anyway, she did it.
Wow. Well, I hope you have Matt back on again because he was great, and like I said, he's one of my favorite guests in a long time. Very well spoken, committed to his job. He sounds like a young man. I don't know how he had 29 years on the job or whatever, but
He is, let's see. This is it. The Book of Murder.
good murder. Nice.
There he is. Very good. A prosecutor's journey through love and death. Yeah, great guy.
Does he like hashtag his Tinder profile at the end or anything?
You want to know for a friend?
I have
wanna
some
know
single
for a friend?
women that I could funnel his way. Sure.
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't ask him because I was focused. I was focused on the intellectual conversation.
You were focused on not stumbling over anesthetist. So, which is fair. Which is fair. I would do the same thing. Well, listen, great episode. Thank you very much. And again, I hope you have him on again soon because he was great. If you enjoyed the episode, Nation, share it with a friend. That would be helpful. And any engagement on Apple Podcasts, rating and reviewing helps with the algorithm like more than you know. So that would be wonderful if you could do that for us. And consider supporting the great companies that support us because we couldn't do it without them. So, Carolyn, anything you'd like to add?
Nope. We will see you next week.
All right. For Criminal Mischief with Carolyn and Branden, signing off. Have a great week. And until next time, stay safe out there.
Bye.
From Cloud 10, Criminal Mischief is a pie-in-the-sky production recorded in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. We're produced by Brandon Morgan and myself. Music by Soundstripe. I'm Carolyn Osorio, your writer and host.